All Elite Wrestling is reported as the third most valuable combat sports company in the world, reporting a value of over $2 billion. We'll let you know all the details on that. Plus, Moose slams fake news about potential rumors suggesting the TNA XDivision Championship was set to be retired. More details on Tessa Blanchard's return to TNA Wrestling. An update on the backstage reaction internally to the Lee Fitting ESPN allegations controversy. More details on Chris Jericho making a recent appearance at a GCW event, as well as a new report giving more explanation if Matt Cardona is currently under contract to All Elite Wrestling. Plus, we have an injury update on Alex Hammerstone. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with a new article revealing a reported valuation for All Elite Wrestling in 2024. Now, Variety has revealed its 2024 Dealmakers list, honoring and celebrating those in the entertainment industry who have landed big deals over the past 12 months. Now, headlining the 2024 class is AEW President Tony Khan for securing a new media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery. Khan commented on being included in the list and is proud about what he has achieved with AEW in the past 5 years, but is excited for what's in store in 2025. Quote, "Our new arrangement signifies that AEW will make history as the first professional wrestling promotion to simulcast events weekly on top cable channels and a top streaming platform," said Khan. The deal with WBD is worth $555 million, with AEW not only staying on TNT and TBS until 2027, but it will also see them simulcast their weekly shows on Max, as well as the company's tape library being on demand in the United States for the first time. Variety also noted that AEW is valued at over $2 billion, making it the third most valuable combat sports company behind UFC and WWE, of course under the TKO umbrella. Now, this is what Variety actually said in the article regarding Tony Khan and AEW. Quote, "In October, 5 years to the week after Khan launched professional wrestling promotion AEW as a direct competitor to Vince McMahon's long-dominant WWE, he closed a multi-year media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery worth a reported $185 million a year that calls for AEW shows and events to be broadcast on TBS and TNT and stream on Max. The company is now valued at more than $2 billion, making it the third most valuable combat sports company in the world." It continued on by saying, quote, "Ain't bragging if it's true. Quote, our new arrangement signifies that AEW will make history as the first professional wrestling promotion to simulcast events weekly on top cable channels and a top streaming platform," says Khan. Now, of course, WWE President Nick Khan also made the list alongside TKO CEO Ari Emanuel, TKO President and COO Mark Shapiro, and the Chief Financial Officer of TKO and WWE, Andrew Schleimer, for their deal with Netflix that is not only worth over $5 billion, but will also see WWE receive the most global exposure ever. Quote, "While the money is extraordinarily important, the downstream impact and ancillary benefits to being with the distributor and just south of 300 million homes globally was something that got us very excited," said Schleimer. So what are your thoughts on the valuation, on the deals that both AEW and WWE have made this year? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, there was quite a lot of concern and chatter on social media this week that has led Moose to warning fans to stop getting their news from X. The former TNA World Champion became the XDivision Champion on November 8 when he defeated Speedball Mike Bailey on TNA Impact. Despite claims that TNA retired the XDivision Championship at a television taping, Moose has taken to Twitter to dismiss the fake news on display. He also denied there was any bad morale in the TNA locker room, with rumors stemming from the reintroduction of former TNA World Champion Tessa Blanchard into the roster, as well as reports of talent being asked to take pay cuts and several talents' contracts expiring at the end of this year. In his post, Moose claimed the reports were fake news. He urged fans to stop getting their news from X while also plugging TNA's weekly show on Thursdays. He said, quote, "A lot of fake news on Twitter. 1, X Division Championship being retired. 2, bad morale in TNA locker room. Guys, stop getting your news from Twitter. Regarding what's going to happen to the XDivision Championship, tune in to Access TV on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and order Genesis on January 19th, Moose wrote. Now, despite apparently wanting to retire the XDivision Championship, Moose thinks it's too prestigious to use it for Option C. Quote, now, Option C, of course, is when the XDivision champion can relinquish their title for a shot at the TNA World Championship. It's been done numerous times over the years. It was first started by Austin Aries back in 2012. Now, despite the speculation, Moose took to social media to dispel the idea of Option C and made it clear he wants to make the XDivision title the most important title in TNA, saying, quote, Option C is one pretty much saying the XDivision Championship isn't as important as the TNA World Championship. Well, it's time to change that effing narrative. I'm going to make the XDivision title the most important and prestigious title in TNA. Trust the effing system, face of the franchise, Moose said in the post. Now, speaking of TNA, and it was alluded to in the last story, of course, Tessa Blanchard is back in TNA after a 4-year hiatus, but her return has been met with a lot of controversy. Blanchard returned at the Final Resolution event on December 13th, attacking Jordynne Grace, which looks to have a feud set up between the two women. That's despite Grace reportedly pushing back on the idea due to Blanchard's original stint in TNA that saw her accused of racism and bullying. Dave Meltzer has gathered some new information on her return in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, including the reaction from her now former employers, CMLL. Meltzer noted that WWE is a factor in this decision, particularly in the feud between Blanchard and Grace, as Grace is expected to join WWE in the new year, while there are people in WWE who want to work with Blanchard, so having her wrestle in the United States more frequently could entice WWE into picking her up. A lot of people in TNA were completely unaware that Blanchard was returning, with Anthem Sports higher-up Ariel Shriner being the one to make the call, not phased by the unceremonious exit from TNA she had in 2020 or the fallout she had with Women of Wrestling. Meltzer also claimed that there was no interest from AEW, as he believes they would receive far more backlash than TNA or WWE would in recruiting Blanchard. The 29-year-old worked for CMLL for 14 months with no incidents and was rewarded with the CMLL World Women's Tag Team Championship up until her departure, after which she vacated the title. It's unclear if CMLL wanted this to happen or if TNA refused to allow Blanchard to drop the titles, but Meltzer believes CMLL decided against the possibility of Blanchard working for both CMLL and TNA, deciding to keep the belts vacant. Now, speaking of controversy, a big story this week was the controversy regarding Lee Fitting and his exit from ESPN. Of course, in January 2024, WWE managed to secure the services of Lee Fitting to become the company's new head of media and production, as well as serving as an executive producer on all WWE programming. Fitting had left his former position at ESPN in 2023, but a recent report claimed that Fitting was actually fired by his former employers due to allegations of misconduct that included making sexual or demeaning jokes and inappropriate behavior. Dave Meltzer reports in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that while WWE itself has yet to comment on the situation, there has been some reaction to the Fitting report backstage. One person claimed that the company was fully aware of Fitting's allegations when they hired him, and that it was simply the baggage that comes with the hire, while another person claimed that Fitting was no different to Vince McMahon or John Laurinaitis, both of whom had a lawsuit filed against them by Janelle Grant earlier this year on the grounds of sexual assault and sex trafficking. Meltzer also noted this isn't the first time WWE have hired someone with a murky past, with former Executive Vice President of Development and Digital Jamie Horowitz being brought into the company despite being fired by Fox Sports following a sexual harassment investigation. Horowitz was eventually let go in 2023 due to the TKO merger, but in this instance, Meltzer claims that Fitting's work in WWE has been highly praised and that the company sees this as a story that will come and go, hence why he has not been punished at the time of recording. Meltzer also noted that Fitting will likely not face any repercussions, citing McMahon's exit from the company in January 2024 as an example of how he was only forced out once major sponsors wanted to sever ties with WWE. Now, Chris Jericho, of course, made an appearance at GCW last weekend, and many people have wondered, was this the beginning of a working relationship despite the controversy between the two companies recently? Well, Dave Meltzer has opened up on this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter on how this came about, which was the simple case of neither Khan or GCW owner Brett Lauderdale telling Jericho and Cardona they couldn't go through with the planned angle. Meltzer acknowledges there is a chance that the AEW/GCW rivalry has been a work from the start, but feels that it's most likely not the case, and that the angle was a one-off, with Khan even admitting that it made sense to promote the Final Battle event on December 20th. Jericho had the idea of attacking Cardona on an independent show to further their feud, and that the GCW event in Los Angeles just so happened to be the one show where both men were in the same city at the same time. Cardona was obviously wrestling in the main event, while Jericho was actually booked for a concert not too far from the building that GCW was in. Meltzer also claimed that the choice for Jericho to attack both Cardona and Effie was done to add to the live heat, given what Effie had said about Khan and his father weeks earlier. It's currently unclear whether this will lead to fences being mended between AEW and GCW. When asked about Starks being pulled but Jericho being allowed to appear in GCW, Khan focused on the Jericho portion of the question. Now, of course, Chris Jericho last night defeated Matt Cardona to retain the Ring of Honor World Championship, and there had been rumors, of course, this week that Cardona was set to be offered, or maybe already had been offered, a contract with All Elite Wrestling. Well, a bit of an update on his contractual status just in the last few minutes at the time of recording this video. According to Sean Rossap of Fightful Select, Matt Cardona is working Ring of Honor shows, but he's not locked down. Cardona worked against Chris Jericho at Ring of Honor Final Battle, coming up short in the Ring of Honor World Championship match. Cardona worked a number of matches and appearances leading up to the pay-per-view, but Fightful have been told he is not under an AEW contract. When Fightful asked Cardona directly, he said, quote, "I'm signed to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast," end quote. For those asking if this appearance was a way to mend fences with GCW, Cardona is not under contract to Game Changer Wrestling either. With the exception of a deal with Nick Gage, they haven't done contracts. Matt Cardona had to be helped to the back with an ankle injury following the match and was on crutches after the show. However, he's hopeful that he will be okay. Of course, if we get any more details on his contractual status, we'll let you know in a future video as well. And finally, a bit of an injury update here on Alex Hammerstone. TNA star Alex Hammerstone is the latest wrestler to be struck down with a serious injury, and it has been confirmed that the 33-year-old has undergone knee surgery and will be out of action for several months. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Hammerstone suffered the injury during the Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl match at the Turning Point event on November 29th. However, he was still advertised for a scheduled three-way tag team match at Final Resolution until the day of the show, where it was officially confirmed that he had gone under the knife, with no word on how long Hammerstone will be out of action. With that said, Meltzer predicts that Hammerstone will be out of action for several months, given the severity of his injury. Hammerstone was scheduled to team up with Jake Something to take on the team of PCO and Sami Callihan and the Rascals, but Something preferred not to find a new partner for the match and instead fought by himself. Before his injury, Hammerstone had the highest profile year of his career thus far. He made his debut for TNA at the company's Hard to Kill pay-per-view in January, where he would lose a hard-hitting match to Josh Alexander and was officially signed to a contract a few weeks later. Hammerstone would continue his feud with Alexander into the spring, culminating in a last man standing match at Rebellion in April, before getting his first chance at gold at Emergence in August, competing in an Ultimate X match for the XDivision title. Hammerstone was also one of the many TNA wrestling stars to feature on WWE programming in 2024, with this partnership allowing Hammerstone to wrestle both Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo in September. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.